Anyone who tuned in at 10 o'clock, I apologize for being 9 minutes late here. We're going to go live with Michael from the House of Markus. I had some issues with my gardeners here coming by right when I was starting. So hopefully we'll get Robert on here and want to discuss. There's a new private membership association called House of Markus that is now ready to take in members. I went to a seminar with Robert in Grass Valley recently and learned a lot, but it was a lot of information condensed into one day. And so I took a lot of notes, and I wanted to just ask Robert some questions, some clarifying questions, and introduce House of Markus to the world, and discuss private membership associations and the power behind those, creating private trusts, and correcting your status, property, and obligation. There we go. All right. Blowers. I hear the blowers are really bad in like Los Angeles. All right, let's see if we can get Robert on here. What's up, everyone? Hope everyone's doing well and staying sane. Don't worry about staying safe. Stay sane, because this society will drive you insane with insanity. Okay, I'm good. All right. All right. So yeah, everyone, we're going to be discussing trusts, correcting status, property, and obligation, which are the three foundations of civil law. So let's see if we can get there. We'll get Robert on here. Hey.
Hey, man.
How are you?
Oh, man. Tired?
Yeah. 15-hour days?
It's insane, man. It's just nuts. Yeah. But, you know, we're doing it. We're doing it, man. We got amazing stuff in the works. So things are really, really happening. So we're excited, but tired.
Yeah. Well, we plan on joining tomorrow, and being members. And
awesome.
I mean, the seminar that I went to, that was amazing.
Thanks, man.
Thank you for putting that on. But it was a lot of information that was condensed into one day. And you on any of those topics, you could have spent 5 hours on just one topic, So it was hard for me to kind of grasp everything. I felt a little bit overwhelmed, but I just want to get the basics down. So I understand the strategy that we're using moving forward. The one thing I took away from it is that we need to get into the private with PMAs, and we need to get our businesses in PMAs, and our PMAs can be part of larger PMA networks. Mm-hmm. And with all the things happening in society right now, I feel like that's just the only way we can really survive.
Oh, yeah. Exactly. I just want to, real quick, though, before I get into it,
yeah,
just disclose that, I'm with House of Markus Fellowship, and I'm the trustee and a co-founder with that. And that's a private organization, and we don't put stuff out in the public. So anybody that wants to know about that, feel free. You are invited to go to the site, because it's not searchable. It's not in any, you can't find it in a search engine. So it's houseofmarkus.org. And that's just what you were talking about. We want to invite people in, right? So now it's private. And if they want to get behind the private wall, of course, they have to join the membership and stuff like that. So with that said, yes, the PMAs are going to be really important. And it's important that people understand them. The problem I see out there is the kind of the same problem I've always seen. Like, people do these documents, they set these things up, but they have no way to defend it. They don't know how to defend it. So while they're powerful structures, and while a lot of this information is really powerful, no one knows how to defend it that I've seen really well. And case in point, we have someone now that has a PMA that is being attacked, and they're trying to shut him down. Right. So first thing he does is show up to court. Well, you just agreed. You just went into contract with them. You know, so now we have to unwind that. Now the next thing, thankfully, he didn't get any further than that. And the next thing is, of course, they wanted to sign something. Well, hold on, you know, what are we signing here? It's another contract. So the way that we respond and set up the pieces to go back and defend this is really important. And that's what we'll talk about. You know, like you said, there's so much to it that you really have to. I did the best I could at the seminar to really just like, these are the main things, you know, that have always affected everything that I've done. So I tried to capture those and briefly explain them as much as we could. And it still took 12 hours.
Yeah, I know. And then you had people interrupting and taking the mic and talking on their own tangents. And that's why I didn't say anything. I just let you do your thing. But okay, so we printed up the documents the night before. We were studying them in the hotel room and reading like literally every word. And these are the most thorough, like the trust language. I mean, you're covering literally every single thing that could possibly happen. I don't know how you get the mind to do this, but it's just, hey, first was the word, right? First was the word.
Exactly.
And we're seeing how important words are in their meanings. And when you read these, like I'm looking at the trust, the revocable living trust, and I don't know how much, I'm not going to share stuff that's private, and I don't want to cross that line here. But I want to, let's just start on each part of the seminar topics, and then run down if that's okay.
Sure. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. So when we're creating a trust, you gave essentially the templates to create your own revocable living trust. Now, it's my understanding with that trust, maybe you can elaborate on the goal of what we're trying to accomplish with that trust. But I comprehended that it's our straw man, our person, you know, our all caps, our birth certificate entity, the bonded surety that is the grantor of that trust. Then I'm blanking right now. I know that we're going to be, the men and women are going to be the beneficiary of that trust, correct?
And the trustee.
And the trustee. Okay, right. Because you can only be two of three things in a trust.
Yeah. And really, you shouldn't, I mean, in a really good trust, a really protective trust, so to speak, you don't want to be, I mean, trustee and beneficiary at the same time is ridiculous, right? Because you're holding both titles. The whole idea between a trust is to split the title in half. That's why I don't like revocable trust for anything else other than what this is. So what this is essentially just a holding trust. That's it. If we ever even transfer anything tangible into it is yet to be seen. But right now, the only thing we're holding in that trust is the beneficial interest of the straw man, so to speak.
Right. Recapturing beneficial interest. Okay.
Right.
So when you have all these gurus out here correcting status and this and that, what we're doing is we're creating a trust, a holding trust to capture the beneficial interest for that straw man. We're saying we have a beneficial interest in this bonded surety to a bankrupt organization or bankrupt franchise in a bankrupt system. That's how I sort of define the straw man in my head.
Right. So remember when we talked about equitable liens not having possession. We don't have possession of the straw man, so to speak, or that whole trust organization. The state does. So in order for us to take an interest in it, we're doing basically an equitable lien. We're saying, oh, well, you know, clearly this beneficiary, which is the straw man of the government trust, is assigning its interest over to this trust, which the living man now is the beneficiary and the trustee of. So there's essentially an equitable lien that the trust has on the government trust. The private trust has on the government trust. And that's all we really want to do is create that relationship, at least from my, you know, position. That's what I want to do. Because I'm locking up all different ends when they try to administrate this name in this trust. So that whole entire POA, DOS, and the trust has a million defenses built in. It all depends on which one you want to pick on, right? So it's like if they try to run over here, you got them over there. If they try to run over there, you got them over there. And you know, so that's really the whole mechanism of those three documents, the whole import. So we're not really using, like, I'm not going to step out and say, oh, I'm the trustee of ABC Trust and it holds the interest and all, unless I need to. It's just sitting there right now. If
right.
That makes sense.
A holding trust, because we can't put any real property, like I couldn't put my home that has a mortgage on it. We'd have to create a land trust for that, right?
Well, you could put it in there. Would it be wise? No, it wouldn't, in my opinion. Now, if it's in your name, strawman name, you may want to, again, hold it in that trust briefly and then have that trust exchange it over into a private business trust, something more solid, a revocable or irrevocable common law trust. So again, it becomes a pass-through. You know, anything in the name, we want to get it out of. We want to transfer it over to there. Then as trustees, it's kind of like the same thing that POA does. POA also gives the authority to administrate certain aspects of that strawman property, right? So that's really what we're doing. So it's kind of like a pass-through holding trust. You can move something into it, take it out, and then put it into another trust, so to speak. A much more powerful protective trust.
Okay. Okay. So
that's why it's irrevocable or revocable.
Revocable.
Yeah, so you can
take stuff out.
Yep, you can put it in and take it out. Absolutely.
Okay. So with these documents that we purchase, we can essentially go in and just put in our information, create a trust, and then do we need to get it notarized? Well, I mean, we can just use your language, right? Because your language your wording is just amazing. And then what do we do with it after that? We go get it notarized, and how do we get it more like official? Like, how is this official trust?
Yeah, the trust is just notarized. That's it.
Okay.
I mean, no one can tell you it's official but you. It's private trust. So
right.
Once it's notarized, it's quote unquote official. Now, when you get into the declaration of status, you'll see that there is a exhibit B is the certification of that trust. So that's just an affidavit certification that fits statutory requirements for the state in case a bank needs to see it. In other words, anyone that needs to rely on the fact that the trust is real, that's all you give them, that certificate. They don't get anything else. They just get that affidavit. And that's recognized by statute. If you go into state statutes, you'll look up trust, look up certification of trust, and they'll tell you this criteria needs to be in there. And we will take that affidavit and recognize the trust as being in existence. So that's all you need. They never see the trust. The trust is private.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's so many things like I'm trying to get in order of like what I need to do. Like what do I need to do first? What's most important?
So I'll give you that rundown. If you got a pen handy or if you're recording it, at least you'll be able to do it. So the first thing I do, obviously, certificate of live birth and birth certificates if I can get them. That's first.
Okay, 1 sec. Can I interrupt you? I ordered my birth certificate years ago twice, and the only thing I was sent was a certificate of live birth. I can't seem to find my actual birth certificate.
Yeah, are you in California? Is that
yeah.
where you're born? Yeah, California, I believe, only does certificates of live birth. So either way, that's fine.
Okay.
Right? Because they're on the same. What you're doing is you're showing title, essentially. Right. You're showing title. You've got title here. I mean, that's a certificate of title. So you want that to always have in your records.
I have that. Okay.
Yeah, I use them, but that's another level. So.
Okay. So get
that, then do the trust, which is really simple. You just fill it out, notarize it. That's done.
Okay.
Then from there, I do my POA and DOS, which of course, takes some time to understand, fill in, and then get witnessed and notarized. Once all that's done, the next step is to take it to the county recorder, whatever they call it. Some states they don't call it the county recorder. It's the land records office.
Right.
But basically what you're looking for is the court that records powers of attorneys. And it's usually the land records, wherever they record land records.
My clerk, I'm sorry to interrupt. I have a clerk recorder, and I tried getting my affidavit of status. Before I came across your process, I used Alphonse's, and he said, do an affidavit of status. I include that with all of my private administrative process paperwork, for these people I'm going after. And I tried to get that recorded in the clerk recorder, and they said, we can't do this. We only record property records, land property. So they rejected me like twice. I tried to get it in there.
So here's how, well, number one, it has to be a document that they recognize. So if you go on their website, they usually tell you, yes, we record powers of attorney. So I call them and say, do you record powers of attorney? Just to make sure, yes. Okay.
Right.
Can I have attachments to that? Yes. That's really important because the power of attorney becomes the vehicle by which you're going to get that on the public record. It is the attachment to the power of attorney that you're going to get that into and on the public record. Okay. So we do that. And once that's established, now we have a solid packet of evidence. That's all we're doing is creating evidence here to rebut the presumptions, any and all presumptions that they will try to use. Right. We still got to be quick on our feet because they're going to try to override that by us, you know, speaking in a certain way or, you know, admitting it by our actions. But you have a solid record now. And if you can understand the parts in that record, you can start using those. Like, for instance, somebody came with, you know, they were just served something for their association. And it's like, well, wait a minute. Your association is not on here. It's your name. So who are they coming after? You or the association? Oh, wait a minute. It's not you. Look at the name on this thing, right? So we just start breaking that down. I don't even bring up status stuff yet. I just start breaking down, well, I don't understand this name. Right. You know, this isn't right. And I'd be glad to contract with you. Not a problem. I'll accept your offer. I just need you to correct these deficiencies first. And that knocks out, you know, 75% of issues most of the time because they can't correct it or they're, you know, they'll admit the fraud and all that. So they usually just drop it. But,
so you mean when they're sending you paperwork and it's addressed to like your straw man? And you're just like, I don't recognize that name, or
sorry, yeah, don't recognize. As a matter of fact, I'll tell them there's a name with that. It's registered at the Vital Statistics Office, file number, blah 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 blah, registered on this date. That's all on my certificate of live birth. Registered, filed this date. So yeah, that person exists. You're gonna have to contact the state for that. Have a nice day.
Right. Okay.
Right? Because
I'm not that. Trust. Yeah, I'm not that. That's the state.
It's all about the name, like I was saying, the name, the military, jurisdiction, property, right? So I just think on a whole different level when these guys try to approach me. It's like I'm thinking about this a whole different way. You're coming at somebody that clearly you have no authority to come at, and you're using identifiers that I don't agree identify me. So how are you identifying me? Again, that's why IDs get you in so much shit, right? But even that is easy to overcome because you just say, well, that's not me. Well, what do you mean it's not you? Yeah, it's your ID, right? No, it's not my ID. It belongs to the estate, so it's not mine. What do you mean it belongs to the estate? Well, I'm sorry you don't understand that, but it's not my ID. It belongs to the estate. The estate. Do you have any proof to the contrary? No. Okay, then we've got an issue.
But it's in your wallet.
Hang on one sec. Oh, yeah, they'll say it's in your wallet. And that's when I say, yep, because I have power of attorney to administrate this estate. And I also have, trust authority as well. So, of course, it's in my wallet. And your point is, right, to them, that's what I would say to them. And your point is, what are you getting at? Are you trying to give me a charge for something? Well, yes. Okay, well, then we need to negotiate because I don't see a contract. Yeah. You know, so that's like when I got arrested in Kansas on purpose, that's what I was doing was just totally mess with these guys' minds. They had no clue what's going on. None of them, not even the judge, not the police. They're indoctrinated so heavy, man. They don't understand any of this stuff.
So your the certificate of live birth or your birth certificate is that's the state trust.
Well, the way that it lays out to me is when your parents are you're born and your parents issue you over to the state. They're not issuing you over, obviously, because you're still here. You're not, in a cage at the Vital Statistics, right? Although you pretty much are. It's an invisible cage. However, they give your name, right? Your birth date. They give identifiers. They're identifying. So that's property. The name is property. The birth date is property. Rights are property. So they're giving all that over to the state and saying, yeah, we'll take on your debt for you. Not a problem. So now that property gets held by the state Vital Statistics. Well, that's held in trust. So I look at it as a bailment. That's why I look at the certificate of live birth as my claim check, because a bailment is not a trust. A bailment is a trust relationship. Right. But it's not a trust. So what do I mean by that? A trust relationship is simply formed if I give you something that's not yours, but we can both benefit off of it, then you're holding it until I come back and pick it up. So that's just like when you go to the dry cleaners and you put your clothes, it's the same setup.
They're holding it.
Yeah, so they're holding it in trust. Then they use that information to create the federal trust, which is Social Security and all the stuff that gets attached to it. Now there's a main trust there, which is Social Security. And it's easy to see when you read Social Security Act because it lays out a trust.
Right.
So,
yeah.
That's,
okay.
Yeah, that's how I look at it. That's why I go, well, I don't have the authority to operate that trust. I take the position of general executor above the entire mix of property, which that trust is included, that federal trust is included in that property, or at least the interest in it. Okay. So I know it's so twisty, man, but you know, I got to whiteboard this stuff out and all to make it, because once you understand, oh, well, wait a minute, you know, that federal trust, I don't have any business in. I don't even have the beneficial interest in it because they made the name, the beneficiary, the all cap name, the beneficiary. So I want to take that all cap name's interest away from it. I want to have a priority interest in whatever interest it has in that trust.
Okay.
And that's the whole game, man. It's just such a commercial, you know,
commercial
mind screw bullshit, you know, but it is one that when we understand these concepts and they become really simple in our minds, we can start to function on the fly in a whole different
right. That's right. Yeah, that's where I want to get. So, okay, so get your certificate of live birth or birth certificate. Do the trust, get it notarized. Then do your power of attorney and declaration of status, get that witnessed and notarized. Go to the clerk recorder, the land records, and get that recorded. So now it's on the public record.
Mm-hmm.
Call and ask them first, what do you accept? Do you accept power of attorney documents? Okay, great. Right.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Now what would be the next thing I want to do?
Well, that depends on where you want to go. What are you trying to do? What is it? Now we get back to, well, what issues am I trying to handle? So for me, if I'm going to, let's give me a scenario. We could work with any scenario.
Okay. Well, I can just give you my scenarios. You know,
sure.
I want to get my business into a PMA, and I'm also planning on suing six agents for corporations and public servants.
Right. So with that, okay, the way that I would handle that, first you have to be really careful, because in one sense you're saying the courts don't have any jurisdiction, but now you have to give it to them to sue, right?
But my person can sue, right?
Well, your person can sue, yeah, but you got to be careful operating the person. So to me, I would do everything behind the scenes. I've got my packet of evidence as to who I am. Now I'm going to address them behind the scenes, and I'm going to start addressing the attorney general, right? These officers get notice. They get, if I want to give them a copy of my certified copy of my packet of information, I can. Or I can tell them, you must take notice of the facts on the record filed at such and such a county, file, book number. Then the onus is on them to look it all up, right? They have to look up your POA and DOS. But again, it's up to you how you want to do it. So I would notify the attorney general of these individuals, right? And then again, say, hey, look, just trying to come to a resolve here. I need you to prove to me the following. Again, conditional acceptance. I'm going to accept that you are an officer of the state, provided you provide these things. Okay, because if you're not and you can't provide these things, oath of office, all that stuff, then clearly you're not an officer of the state. And I want you to tender this to your bonding company, to the county bonding company. Okay, you need to tender this to the county bonding company, because the county is the one on the hook, or the state bonding company, whomever, and your attorney. Bam. Now they have to tender that. They have to give it to someone else, and you just put them all on the hook, and that's where you do your notice of liability. If you do this, that, or the other, or don't do something, one or the two, then you are injuring me or have injured me in the past based on these things that you've done. And we're going to be going at your bond company. Then you need to do the research. You need to go to the county, especially where these officers are. You go to the county clerk or the register, and they're going to start shitting bricks when you're asking for their bond. I need the county's bond. Where is the county's bond? I need to know who the bonding company is for the county. That is supposed to be public, right? You guys are not supposed to be functioning without it. Where is it? Right? And then you get the bond information. Now you're drawing up a claim against it, but none of this even goes to court because it's all about insurance. You're just hitting them left and right. If it has to go to court, everything's already done. The claim is in. Oh, yep, judgment in the favor of the plaintiff. It's all done. Everything's over. It's just simple insurance procedure.
So,
You don't get into going into court and suing these guys. You did this and you did that. You just trap them all in the administrative process, and then you go in after their bond. Now, if you have to file in court, what you want to file again is a claim based on your insurance claim and all the evidence that you have. So you would be saying, I'm suing such and such bonding company, X amount of dollars. Please, award me this. Here's all the evidence. And it should be, cut and dry at that point.
and that, would that be just a summary judgment at that point? Where we're just asking, there's no controversy. We're just asking for a summary judgment. Is that?
Yeah, it should be. I mean, if you have all your evidence in line, you got all your mailing evidence, your POA to us, all that stuff's done. You show them what you mailed these guys. You put it all together. It should be cut and dry. It really should. Now, that doesn't really mean it's going to be, but that's the road that I would take.
Okay.
And am taking in certain situations.
Well, when I become a member of House of Markus, will there be ways I can maybe get a little bit of strategy consulting when it comes to this stuff?
Well,
what kind of stuff will you guys be specific? I mean, you can't disclose everything, obviously, but
right. Basically, you'll have everything you need.
Okay.
Everybody will for every situation.
Right.
So, but it's going to take us a little bit to get there because we have to walk through these, develop everything, and do it. So, but I don't think it's going to take us that long. We're really hard at it, man. So yeah, everything will be pretty much. And what I'm going to do is House of Markus. Everybody that is a member will do like webinars and stuff to help people understand. Just for members because it can't be outside. So, yeah, absolutely, man. We'll definitely, our thing is to support our ministry. So I just want to clarify that too. We don't sell documents and stuff anymore, like used to under a different model, but now it's donation and gift. So we're gifting you documents for your donation because it's our ministry to the world. The religious part of this, the spiritual part that's what's the most important, right? So we want to keep standing on that. My ministry is this. So whatever your ministry is to you, which to me, it's bringing the word, teaching the word, which is the truth, right? The word is nothing more than the truth. So yeah, anyway, I want to stand on that and use that. And that's what House of Markus is doing for everyone that's involved.
Okay. Well, I can't wait to become a member because I also I'm seeing amazing developments with people switching their businesses over to PEAs. Like we just joined a homeschool collective, a PEA, and it's just we've met with the new teachers, and it's just like we are forming this tribe. It's just like there's none of the shenanigans in the public schools, and it's just like I just want to keep. I'm getting so upset that with what's happening with the public schools and even like local youth sports with, putting stuff on their face and telling them what to do with their body and stuff. It just makes me sick. And I don't have patience or time for that. I just want to get my tribe connected and in the private. And so when I join the House of Markus, I look forward to really getting that support because I just want to get everything into the private as best I can and protect my property and my, because we know that they're coming after the kids. We know.
Oh yeah.
I have 3. You have
1. Even my own. So that's what I want to say too, is that's what we're doing. We're forming an alliance of PMAs as well. So once you come in, and we'll have all that structure, it's behind the membership though, to show people this is how things are structured. This is where we're going. But that very thing. So, take that anger and put it into creativity and get with these people and start setting these PMAs up and stuff, because yes, that's the idea of House of Markus. We're going to protect as a body, as all of us, as everybody, every member comes together. It's super, super powerful, man.
Will there be guidance on how to create PMA documents for my business? Because, I have an online business and I work from home, but I just feel like they're gonna start infiltrating our homes, and I want to be able to say, this is private property. This is a PMA. You have no jurisdiction here. If you do try to do a knock and talk, you're going to owe me this amount of money because you're agreeing to this contract. So I just want to get everything locked in private. And I'm hoping that the House of Marcus will sort of provide guidance for those steps.
Absolutely. So real quick, because I see some comments coming up.
Okay.
House of Marcus is Markus, not C, and it is houseofmarcus.org. And then somebody said, "What's a PMA?" Which is right on your topic. So PMA is a private member association. Okay. Now the First Amendment protects the right to assemble and the right to exercise your religion. Super powerful stuff, man. And a lot of that in other countries is done through treaties. So they would have to look at treaties because they don't have the, the Constitution or whatever. But anyway, yes, the private member association is basically, we can do whatever in our private house, that as long as we're not causing any injury to anyone, which would be a crime. So like you said, when they come knocking, yeah, hey, sorry, you have no business here. And that's what we're dealing with right now, is someone, that has kept the government out of their PMA. But now all of a sudden they're trying to drag him in and his wife into court. So we're saying, oh, no, we're going to nip that right in the bud. So again, House of Marcus is stepping in to say, no, this is how he's structured properly. This is how his structure is. We follow what he did from the legal perspective to see that he did everything correctly. And it's like, okay, yeah, now we can help support that. So one of the biggest things, what you're asking is, yes, we realize that people don't even know what a PMA is, let alone how to set one up, how to organize it, how to run it, right? And that type of thing. So that's what we hope to provide, is just education on, hey, these are how these models work. So we'll have the private member association, common law business trust, and a church for those that want to set up. We believe everyone should set up their ministry in church. We just believe it's super important.
Right.
And so the House of Marcus PMA, you'll see at the top of our website, it's an integrated auxiliary of the ministry. Because if you read 508c1a under the IRS code, or the IRC, the Internal Revenue Code, it says that churches, their integrated auxiliaries and associations are accepted from filing 501c3 exemption status, meaning they're accepted, EXCEPTED, that the 501c3 codes and red tape applies to 501c3s and all these other nonprofit organizations, except this one.
Yep.
There's no requirement for filing. So, but it has to be run like a church too. Some people are doing, I got a 508c1a trust. And I'm like, well, that doesn't make any sense, because 508c1a says nothing about a trust. So to me, it's faulty on its face. You're going to lose that argument in an instant. All right. So again, it's really about understanding the structures and how the government looks at this stuff, because they will put your church through a test, the 12 points, and you want to make sure that you're functioning it like a church, which isn't hard if you're a spiritual person. Right? We can all do that. I mean, all of us. And then our integrated auxiliaries, they all hook in together. And you know what? Maybe not everybody needs to set up a church, because once an auxiliary comes under a specific ministry, like for instance, somebody says, hey, you know what? I would like my PMA to be an auxiliary or an association of Unity of Divine Creation, which is our church. That's our ministry. Sure, no problem. Let's get it hooked up. Now you are an integrated auxiliary area of Unity of Divine Creation. You don't have to set your own up. So these are the models. These are the things that we're using. And then we got to defend it. We got to defend it, right? Because they're going to come at it. That's where House of Marcus comes in.
Okay. That's in my plans too. So I'm an ordained minister, but I haven't created a 508c1a. I just want to get the PMA structure. And then create a 508c1a, and I'd like to get that integrated with House of Marcus or somehow. I just want to get connected to, because I don't know how to physically do all these things correctly yet. So it's just a matter of getting linked up to those who know what they're doing with these documents.
Right. And that's why, yeah, exactly. That's why we want to build this and put it behind the private wall. So we're not putting anything out in the public, and anybody that wants to know how to function privately can come into private and do that. That's the most important part. So yeah, we will be adding, now for us, it's focusing on the website, focusing on the education, building out our documents and things like that that we're going to use, that we're going to gift, you know, for donation and that kind of thing. So everyone is taken care of. And the more people come in to the membership, the more that helps us create a support system, because we need to pay people. People need to be paid. I mean, a lot of people are coming to volunteer, but it's like, you know, how far can we get with volunteers? You know, we got to build this structure. So when people say, you know, oh, I got to pay for my freedom, right? Well, you got to do something, right? You got to contribute somehow. You can't just come over here in my yard and take all my wood out of my yard and go build your own fires while I freeze to death. That's not going to work. You know, like, we need to build the house, the community, and that has to be supported. So it's working, man. I'm telling you, it's working. And I think it's just going to continue to grow.
Yeah, because I was thinking this morning that I don't want to say our enemy or anything, because we're all at peace here. But those who are coming against us are making moves every single day. They're making big moves. And if you're not making big moves somehow with your paperwork, then you're not keeping up, you know.
You're sitting duck. Yeah.
You're sitting duck. And so, like, every day I'm like forcing myself out. I'm exhausted, but I'm like trudging through. I'm doing the private administrative process for these companies and agents that I plan on suing. I'm at the true bill stage. I'm already through the commercial notice of default, and I'm just like studying jurisdictionary course, and I'm just trying to line this up at the same time, thinking about, I got to switch over to a PMA, and I got to create a 508c1A, and I'm doing consultations, ministry work to help people with religious exemption guidance. And I know that's a big part of your documents. Everyone, if you need help with religious exemptions, the House of Markus can help. You went over those documents at the seminar, and they are basically creating a new contract where we're asking them all questions we need answered. And if you can't answer these questions, you're going to be liable. And then, so really strong documents there. I'm providing people with a religious exemption and steps they can take. And we're just asking questions initially, like, hey, what sort of criteria would you use to judge a religious exemption, and why might you deny one, and who's going to take liability? What's the insurance look like? So I'm telling everyone because everyone's getting railroaded by their employers.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, and they're making the employers are sending everyone their forms. They're trying to control the contract, creditors, right?
Yeah.
Fill in our forms, these boxes, you know.
Yeah.
Have your pastor sign this. And I'm saying, well, wait, we have our own forms. We have our own questions we need answered first. And people are just getting like intimidated and coerced, and it's insane.
Oh, it is. And that's why we created such a powerful document, you know, and I know in the freedom community, all these people, they poo-poo attorneys, and you can't use an attorney and stuff. And I get it. Trust me. I agree with a lot of it. But I've got one of the most powerful attorneys I've ever met as a friend of mine who works with me on this, and he's not there selling people down the river. So we're covering both ends. We're covering the public and the private. And so we're really good with that process and procedure, which is why those documents are so solid. We go through several notices, you know, notice to tender to the insurance and the attorney. I mean, that puts the onus on the business owner, on the employees. You know, if you don't get this to them and you injure me, they're going to drop you like a hot potato when we come back for an insurance claim, right? So we're doing the notice of tender, the notice of liability, the notice to maintain status quo and moratorium on the policy, which is you can't change. You have to keep the policy the way it is until we get this figured out, and you can't change my status of employment. In other words, you can't fire me, you can't lay me off, you can't do any of that, you can't stop paying me until you do your due diligence in affording me the information I need for you to change this contract and for me to agree to it. Because a lot of people, I think, are missing that point, and you just brought it up. Employment is a contract. They're changing the contract on you, so you need to address the issue of the contract. Now, wait a minute. That's fine that you're changing the contract, but before I make an informed decision whether I'm going to stay here or quit or take this jab or whatever, I need you to answer this stuff under employment rules. This is all employment rules. Now they're really screwed because they've got a whole other set of laws that they have to follow that they got to answer this stuff with. So we're curious to see what, of course, we just started gifting these out last week. So we're curious to see, you know, what the feedback is. Now on the feedback, That's going to tell us where we need to go next with the next step. Okay, here, guys, we're going to gift you these now. You know, this is the next step. And that's how we're going to do this with every matter. Okay, every matter at law, we're going to do that. So
beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I'm basically doing, I don't have the paperwork set up like you, but I'm having them just ask the questions initially. You know, who's responsible for this, first of all? Because a lot of these corporations are just hiding behind, well, this is our new policy, but no one's taking responsibility for it. Like, not a man or woman is not saying, yes, it's me who's responsible. And
Right.
so that's an important thing first, to identify who's responsible for this change in contract that I can address. Who's the man or women or the board members, and then you ask the questions of them that you need answered before you even send in a religious exemption.
Right.
Okay, so yeah.
Yeah, because you're creating the liability once that manager, whoever it is, you know, board of director, doesn't matter, director, manager, once supervisor, once they receive this, they have the duty to make sure it gets to the attorney of the company and the insurance, right? So now it's on, now they're personally liable because they have to make a personal choice and decision here. And if they don't, there's a personal liability in there, criminal and civil, because the company itself is liable. And it just creates a shitstorm for them. You know, so that's what's really interesting about these documents. I get a kick out of it. I'd like to, I can't wait to see. Like you said, I mean, we got one guy, he's been 3 weeks, man. He's been at home with pay and has never taken the test. They didn't fire him. He's just sitting, they don't know what to do. So he's just sitting there collecting money every week and doesn't have to work.
All because he sent them these documents that you prepared. Yeah. And that's okay.
Yeah. They said, if you come in on Wednesday and you don't take this test, we have to fire you. So we had the documents ready by Wednesday, handed them to him. They said, okay, well, we'll get back to you in 2 days. It's been 3 weeks. They paid him the entire time. He was actually home taking care of his wife who got sick. And if he hadn't been, didn't give them these documents and had still been at work, he wouldn't have even been home to take care of his wife. So he got to take care of his wife and gets paid. Mm-hmm. And he's still getting paid and he's not in work.
And they might, they might just leave him alone. Like, it seems like when you, like, in any matter where you're placing the questions and the liability on them and that you already know the answers to and that they can't answer without incriminating themselves, a lot of times they'll just kind of leave you alone, right? Because they're like, all right, this guy figured this out. Let's go on to the next one who doesn't know their stuff, you know? So I'm doing these consultations and I'm hearing what people are telling me, what their employers are doing to them. And so some people are just, oh, my exemption got denied and I was fired and I don't have money for an attorney. So I don't know what to do. Can you help me? And I'm like, well, if it were me, I would send them affidavits. I would start the paper trail of, creating a file of everything you've sent to them, everything. I would send them affidavits and notice of claim and start the process. But you really only start the private administrative process if you can eventually follow through with a lawsuit, right? So,
well, yeah, and it's best to start the administrative process as early as you can, you know, before you get injured. So because again, you got to bring it all back to contract. Everything comes back to contract.
Right.
Super, super important. So with the membership too, the other beautiful thing about it is we're putting our seal on the documents. So if you're a non-member and you purchase, well, I don't want to say purchase, you donate and are gifted the documents on the front end, we do that too. Anybody can go there and get them on the front end. You're not a member. You just have to sign our disclaimer because it's super huge to keep ourselves protected. And real quick, I just want to, before I finish what I was saying there, I want to trail off on that a little bit. You'll see the disclaimers and stuff on our website. Like, we're not playing games. We're not putting stuff out there. We are keeping everything locked up as tight as possible. Anyway, when you see that stuff, just read it. I mean, you should read it. It's protecting us, it's protecting you, and it's a code of ethics that we're following. And real quick, I know some people are putting privateestatetrust.org. That website also, or that web address also goes to House of Markus. So both houseofmarkus.org and privateestatetrust.org point to the same website. But anyway, to get back to the point, we put our seal on each of these documents. So now when you're a member and those documents are coming across the desk of whomever, be it the state or the employer or whomever you're dealing with. And then maybe somebody else sends them in and they're a member, and now they're going to start going, well, who in the hell is this House of Markus? And that's what we want. Come knock on our door. We'll gladly open the door and talk to you. Let's talk. Let's talk about what's going on here, right? That's why it's so important for us to make sure our back end is completely solid, because eventually they're going to come knocking and looking for us. And that's what we want, because we're all part of the association. So come to us. We draw the line in the sand. We're at peace. We're not fighting with you. And we will definitely stand behind you, because you're part of the association, because you're going to stand with us too. That's what is really important about becoming members and doing this together. It's a unity. And that's super powerful, man. You know, I mean, I haven't seen anybody really doing that. I've done it a little bit here and there, but not to this degree, you know. So yeah, we're super excited.
Yeah, I mean, the seminar that I think that was just amazing. I would hope you maybe have another one, because I know it would be huge. Just the unity we felt there, the information we were getting. I mean, it was all love and hugs and knowledge and like minds. And it's just like, you know, I don't have time to try to wake up the sleepers anymore. I just want to unite with those who get it, and they're not living their lives in fear, hiding in their homes, and they don't think there's any solutions, and we're just done in fear and fear and fear. No. Solutions, and trust the Creator that those solutions are going to find us if we actually just put in the work and get in the private, you know. And it's all biblical. Like, I was looking at
it is, man. It is.
It's great. I opened up the Bible last night, and I came to Ecclesiastes 2:26 through 3:22, and I was just reading these, and I was just, it was connecting with like everything. It was like God, creator, source, just wanted me to open that page, and I just connected it to everything that's happening in this world. It was it's crazy.
Yeah. And this isn't the first time this has happened, or that, you know, the Bible, they say, you know, 2,500 years ago. Well, bullshit. This has been happening for like 300,000 years or more. I mean, yeah. Every so often when we go through a 50,000 or a 5,000 year cycle, you know, the teachers come and they descend back down on the earth to bring this stuff out. I mean, for those of you that have Gaia channel, I highly recommend watching Ancient Civilizations, because they tell you, these guys in their research, it all lines up where it's like, this has happened so many times. It was just that in the Bible, they're like, oh, well, we're just going to try to pretend that nothing happened before this. It all started here. Don't look anywhere. And of course, back then when you have written tablets and things like that in paper, you don't have computers, you don't have the technology, that media brainwashed everybody. Well, now we're in the era of, quick, information. So they're using TV and the internet and all this other stuff. It's the same thing over and over and over again, man. It's just, it's ridiculous. But I'm glad you were able to see it, because if you want to know, just read the Bible. It's there. It tells us how to do this. Form your communities. Come out of her, my people. Come out of the beast. Stop doing the commerce. Get out of her.
Right.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen biblical verses. I can't remember. I think they're from Matthew, that discusses the private administrative process. If you're harmed, go to your neighbor first. If your neighbor ignores you, then bring in someone else. Like, basically get a witness. And then if they ignore you, then you're going to have to go see someone else, a judge or whatever. So it's crazy, but I took some notes here in the seminar, and if there's anything else you want to touch on, please let me know. Like, if there's anything on House of Markus you want to tell people, because I plan on being a member and just really putting my trust in this PMA on how to guide me through all these steps I want to take. And I implore other people to do that too, because I saw Robert in person. I saw his team. They're legit, and it's a lot of information. He's been studying this for 12 years. I've been studying law for just a couple years, ever since last year, when I realized I'm going to have to sue people because they're infringing on my unalienable rights. My property has been damaged. My estate's been damaged. So I have so much catch up to do. And
yeah. So as far as events go, I'll be speaking at the next event is the Symposium for the Health Freedom for Humanity. That's out in Kansas City, Missouri. I'll probably only be speaking about 45 minutes of that. As you saw, we spoke for 12 hours, 9 hours in a 12-hour day, and still was like, we could have just kept going and going, you know? So my next seminar event, we're trying to work around the Health Freedom for Humanity Symposium, which if you can get to that, I would highly recommend going to that, because there's going to be so many, like you said, highly evolved, enlightened people working on solutions. We're not getting bogged down with the mess. We're bringing solutions, and there's going to be a ton of people there doing that or talking about that for 2 days. It's going to be an awesome event. After that, we have about 5 seminars in the pipeline. So nothing has come to fruition yet, but if you go to houseofmarcus.org, MARKUS, and you become a member, and we'll be posting the event stuff there and on the back side of the membership, and of course we'll probably post it on the front side, meaning the public side. But anyway, we don't have anything just solid yet. Our next thing is to try to work one around the symposium. So we may have one in Kansas City or somewhere in that area, maybe the following day, maybe October 10th. We're not sure yet. We're trying to get it. It's a last minute thing, so it's hard to scramble when you've got 200 people that want to show up to this thing, and then it's not your state, so you're trying to organize it. But we've got a great organizer. I don't know if you met Michael Betrano when you were out there. Phenomenal organizer. He's one of our brothers. He's setting all this stuff up. So we're looking at, I think, Kansas, 2 in California again. 1 is in San Diego, 1 more in the LA area, 1 in New Jersey, 1 in Florida, and 1, I think, in Boston. Those are the tentative ones. We don't have anything locked in yet, but we will, and then we'll post all that stuff on the website.
Beautiful. I mean, and I just feel drawn to this, and I want to like help in some way.
Oh, you will.
Okay.
You will. Good. I feel that because you want to, you have the advocate spirit. So you want to advocate for people, and that's what we're going to need. We're going to need to bring in people that can speak and understand exactly what we're doing. And I'm glad that you're coming in at the ground level. Yeah. So that way, you can learn with us, and we can walk people through and have advocates, man. Because once we get, again, this is all about system building, right? That's why I keep telling people, look, we got to be patient as much as we are trying not to be or not, because of all the shit that's going on. But if we don't have a structure, we have nothing. And that's why I keep telling everybody, man, structure. So right. We're working on that. Right. And we'll be adding pieces and bringing people into the fold that want to help. So
yeah, the importance of structure. There's the balance of light and dark, reality and illusion, alignment with truth, purpose, and fearlessness. That's all, that's pretty much all I want to live for is that, I just want to be aligned with the word, the truth. Airship. Could you talk a little bit about Airship? Why we are heirs to the kingdom of heaven? Because it says here, I looked up in my study the other day, if I could find it, we looked up this amazing Bible quote. Here, go ahead and talk about the heirs while I find it.
Yeah, so I believe it's in Matthew. It could be in, there's probably a few other gospels it's in, but, Jesus said that we're co-heirs, right? We're co-heirs with Christ. So if we're co-heirs to the kingdom, then we need to be acting like co-heirs and not anything less. So beneficiary is one thing, that's all great, but that's saying there's a trust somewhere. If we're beneficiaries of anything, it's God's trust, right? But right. We're really stewards, which would be a trustee over the earth. But we're heirs. We're heirs to the kingdom of heaven. Well, the kingdom of heaven is not a place we go to when we die. The kingdom of heaven is here, and it's a vibrational space. It's when you elevate to a higher level of vibration that is so resonant. Your world is just, everything's working out for you. It's a peaceful world. It's a beautiful world. It's a cooperative world. That is what we are heirs to. That ability for us to ascend into the kingdom has been taken from us, so it's not been given to us the way that a descendant would acquire an heirship, let's say, right? So that's where we're standing. We're saying we're heirs of the kingdom of heaven. There's no one higher than us. We're not here to fight war or anything. We're just here to say we know what belongs to us under our, heavenly Father, if you will, and then we're going to inherit that. But in my opinion, we have to take care of all the stuff that we've done prior. Just like you're, you know, evolving in your own soul. Like you have to take care of all your baggage before you can truly be happy. Same thing in physical reality. We're taking care of all that back baggage by doing our trust, POA, and DOS. We're putting it on the record. Here's our intention. Here's what we're doing. That mistake was made. We're moving forward. So, and we're cleansing our airship.
Right. So Romans 8:16-17. The Spirit itself beareth witness with our spirit that we are the children of God. And if children, then heirs, heirs of God, joint heirs with Christ. If so be that we suffer with him, trust we may also be glorified together.
Bam. Done.
That's it.
So when we're going, you know, at this stuff, we're telling them, like, look, you know, you guys aren't following the law. You say you follow, you know, religious respect for religion, all, but clearly you're not doing that. And I don't even like to get into the word religion, of course. You know, it's spirituality. I mean, the religious part of it is obviously part of the control mechanism. You don't want that. You know, we believe in our spirituality, period. And if the government labels that religion, fine, but we don't take that title, you know? Right.
Yeah, I mean, I could go through all the notes to help people here, but it would be just regurgitating a lot of stuff that you already know. But just real quick, what gives the Fed's jurisdiction over us? It's when we register to vote. It's when we write down our name, our address with zip code, our date of birth on things, when we file tax forms, when we participate in government, and any document affirming our U.S. citizenship. These all give federal jurisdiction. And you always want to focus on territorial jurisdiction,
right?
Rather than subject matter jurisdiction. So what does that mean? Well, it means, you know, what jurisdiction do you, the Fed, or you can basically put the question on them, right? So what jurisdiction, what authority do you have over a man,
right?
Or a private American national or a Californian? You know, so
yeah, exactly. The question with territorial is, how did you get jurisdiction, federal jurisdiction in the state?
Right. Or anybody, any public servant, like anyone who's violating your rights, you could say, what evidence do you have that you have jurisdiction over me, a man?
Yeah. Or say, you know, is your organization, whatever you are, you know, police, agency, whatever, you know, are you located in the United States? Yeah. Well, then what jurisdiction do you have? Because clearly you don't have state jurisdiction. You said you're in the United States. That doesn't exist here. And the evidence is clear. Article 1, Section 8, Clause 17. You don't exist here. So if you're telling me that you're from the state and you're within the United States, and you must be over there in a 10-mile square, you know, or Puerto Rico and the territories, which is why the IRS is based in Puerto Rico, right? Because if they were based here, what they're doing would be called racketeering. And they can't do that. So they're a debt collector that is based in Puerto Rico. And when you read the IRC and they're talking about the Treasury Secretary and all, they're not talking about the United States Treasury Secretary. They're talking about the Puerto Rican Treasury, okay, the Puerto Rico Treasury. And that's been brought up in a case in federal court in 1999. I forget the case. I could pull it up. But, you know, where they clearly said, shit, we've got to bring in the treasurer of Puerto Rico here because all the IRS code points to is that treasurer, not the treasurer of the United States. So that's why they call it the RICO Act, right? Puerto Rico. I mean, these guys, they play this game. You know?
Racketeering, yeah, the wordplay, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so just there's some other things that, you know, when you do the birth registration of the name, that's the state trust. When you do the Social Security trust is the federal trust. And
yep.
Yeah, so I mean, a lot of it is just understanding trusts. And I think I was never taught about understanding trust. I thought just trust was something you do when you're super rich and you have, you know, property you want to hand over to your offspring. But really, trusts are also just saying, hey, we have a straw man that was created for us. We want to take a security interest in that. We want to claim our security interest in that straw man. So we're creating a trust where the straw man is the grantor, right? I'm still getting that down correctly?
Yeah, you're creating the interest, and that does create a bit of security, yes. So, but it's not like what people do with UCC with security agreements and all. That's common law lien. That's common law interest. We're taking equitable interest. So, but yeah, that's correct. I mean, I was the same way, man. I never knew what trusts were. It's like, you know, I heard about them all the time, and I'm like, it's like Bigfoot. Like you hear about it, but you never see it. You know.
Right. Right. Well, I think we're gonna finish up here. I just have a couple more questions. So do you? I know you have to run. I have to run, but is it okay if we maybe take a quick break and then I just ask a couple more questions and we don't go like another hour or anything, but just
yeah,
super quick. Okay.
Yeah, go ahead, man.
Okay, cool. So we'll sign off now. Quick break. Check back in a sec.
All right, man.
Okay.